Welcome back, everybody, to more esports news. You know, I could get used to seeing you guys on a Sunday. We've had a lot of videos lately, and thank you all for watching, leaving comments and likes, and of course, subscribing to the channel. This is actually breaking news, though. As of earlier this morning, guys, Jason Lake, the CEO of Complexity, especially when it comes to the Counter-Strike scene, a very well-known name, he has now taken to Twitter as of a couple of hours ago to make a very brash announcement, and yes, attuning to the CSGO scene and their latest major run now being done for Complexity. I would say a pretty disappointing run. You know, you lose like a pretty close match to a Vanguard. Alongside that, you also you do take down a Tyloo, but you also lose to a Greyhound. You lose to other teams who are not necessarily like that of HR, not necessarily teams that we see as very dominant teams, especially this time in Counter-Strike as well. They are now out of their major run, going 1-3, and they just got their latest best-of-3 loss to Greyhound. Following that matchup, guys, Jason Lake took to Twitter with these words, as he did state, "I love our players as individuals, but these results will not be tolerated. If you're a tier 1 player looking for a fresh start at the best facility in the world, hit me up. I'll pay your buyout and give you the world's highest salaries. Let's build a juggernaut. Spread the word." What did I don't even know how to describe my first reaction. When I first was sent this by tons of people out there who, of course, were stunned as shocked as I was, I had great respect for the statement because of the follow-up statement. He actually cleared this with his players first. So this would have even been a bit of a disrespectful tweet, I do think, not to acknowledge your players or at least consult them before tweeting this out. So to clear the air, guys, he told his players about this. He told his team about this, their forward direction, and he would be tweeting this out. So they were okay with it. You know, even if they weren't, I'm sure he was pretty set on doing this because it seems he is pretty set on winning and spending some of that deep Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys money sometime in the future. But what a bold statement, right? I know Jason Lake from the Counter-Strike scene, especially when his name came back up during the iBuyPower time. He tried to write on their behalf to Valve to try and get those guys unbanned, and that's where I first started gaining a lot of respect for the guy. Of course, what he's built and established from the ground up at Complexity as well. They've never quite been known for deep success in CSGO, right? They've had a bit of a stalemate, especially when it comes to their CSGO roster, and a lot of questions have been surfacing around, right? In last major, they were a pretty fairy tale team. I'm not going to lie, a lot of doubters out there, and that was still the doubt around this major, not the same fairy tale run, and all fairy tales, as per usual, do come to an end. It seems like Jason Lake wants some changes to be made. How many changes, though? I don't know. It seemed up for debate. At least one, it seems pretty obvious. Then we ask ourselves the question, who is going and who is staying? And you guys know what to do. As per usual, leave your comments down below who you think is staying, who you think is going on this Complexity roster, because they still have, I believe, a very solid young core. I look at the players like Obo and Sick, although up for debate. I think a lot of people out there think two names come to mind as to who's leaving the roster. Ricky has to be one of the first. Now, I will say throughout their few matches they did play this past major, he was one of their better players, right? He actually had a few maps he did carry them, but he's either on top or he's on bottom. You look at also his visa issues. I'm not sure he's fully resolved those. He's also one of the older players there. I don't think a long-term franchise choice, and ever since last major, he was my pick, and I think a lot of people's pick as a weaker link on this roster. I don't mean that in an aggressive or a terrible way. I think he still has a potential future elsewhere in CSGO, but when it comes time for a franchise to look for long-term cohesion amongst players, I don't think Ricky's the right choice. No longer primary opping for the team, or never really was with Shazam there. So you look to a guy like Obo and Sick. I think between those two, Obo is pretty classified as a pretty solid long-term pick for these guys. They pick him up pretty much just out of FPL, and I think he's pretty set to be staying, especially because he becomes our youngest major member. And yes, he might have cracked later on, but he has still shown himself as a very skillful young 16-year-old kid. I think he will be a long-term franchise choice. I can't say the same, though, for a guy like Sick, who is still yet 20 years old, has not really come up much ever since his time with TSM. I think so much potential was on his shoulders. He never really has shown himself up to this point yet, but he's still so young, and I would love to see a solid young core like Obo and Sick still stay together, although I'm not very confident that's going to be the case. So if I had to say it, I would probably have your top two picks of at least community-wise people think is going to be leaving. It might be Ricky, it might be Sick. You know, some people might say Def. I still think Def, though, is a pretty solid stone for these guys, and that would be my core. I think Obo, Def, and Shazam still have a pretty solid chance of staying, but we're going to find out sometime soon what Jason Lake did mean by if he's going to offer these huge buyouts, right? Those are also the shocking words to take in. I never would have imagined an organization like Complexity. Yes, they have huge backing, their brand new facility as well, being Texas-based, and with that, you know, the bigger the better down there in Texas. Their pockets seem to be bigger than any other NA organization. If he's going to offer the crazy things he did say, you know, if you're a tier 1 player looking for a team in the best facilities, I will buy you out and offer you the highest salaries. I never in my mind find a pictured Complexity, anyone from Complexity saying those words, so it seems set in stone, guys. Jason Lake wants changes. How many changes? We don't know. Will these changes be the right moves in the coming future? Again, we don't know, but I hope, you know, it's going to be confusing to see where this does go, but I at least hope these guys do improve, especially if you're going to throw a tweet out there like this, and the big money is now coming out there. I'm just very curious what players are now knocking on Complexity's door. Before, you know, we had TSM rumored to come back, 100 Thieves rumored to come back. Now we have Complexity out there with a viral tweet saying, hey, we'll pay you more, we'll buy you out. They've got to have countless players out there now on the run saying, yo, pick me up. I am super curious. I think a great power move, a bold move by Jason Lake. I respect it. It scares me, but I respect the heck out of it. Who do you guys think Complexity will change? Who's staying? Who's going? Make sure to leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow, breaking down further esports, and for all you CSGO fans, CSGO news. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon.